All right, we're back with the Board Drill podcast. As always, I'm your host, Kyle Bradburn. With me is my co-host, Matt Dixon. Say hi, Matt.
How we doing?
And with
Sorry,
us
I'm
is
a little bit distracted right now.
All right, so special guest tonight. He's back by popular demand. I don't know if we told you this, Coach Malone. We have Tracy Malone back from Rockmart High School. Coach, welcome back to the Board Drill podcast.
Man, I'm going to tell you something. This is like a fraternity get-together. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it was just three dudes sitting around with a beer in their hand talking football and staring off into space.
Coach, when we got you on the first time, many people listening to this don't know, but the way I get guests right now is I just reach out to coaches on Twitter. I don't know most of them. I don't have a whole lot of background. I kind of just DM and I maybe go and I look at a couple clips from Huddle and I don't want to say it's in like a weird way, but maybe their record, things like that, but nothing crazy. And we get you on, Coach, and I was like, man, this guy's fantastic. And then, Coach, the DMs and the texts I got from your episode, they were like, you got to get this guy back on. You got to get back on. And before I even got a chance to ask you to come back on, you were like, hey, when are we doing this again? So super pumped to have you on. Talked to the show favorite, Coach Avery, and he was like, you got Malone on tonight? I said, yeah. He goes, man, please tell me he's talking some quarterback stuff. I said, oh, he's talking everything quarterback. He was like, I love that guy's organization. So, Coach, we're excited to hear about it tonight. So I got your presentation. Yep. I'm going to share it with everybody real quick, and then we'll kind of go from there. Sound good?
Yeah, you're not going to talk junk about the Tennessee Wi-Fi tonight. If this jacks up, it's in Florida.
Hey, listen, we know, right? The Tennessee Wi-Fi is the worst Wi-Fi in America from all of our presentations. So, Coach Malone, go ahead and take it away.
So, guys, that's my contact information. It's not changed from the last time. I'm the quarterback coach at Rockmart High School. I am extremely fortunate to be there, working for the head man, Biff Parson. It's sort of like, man, I didn't hit the triple, but I'm standing on third. Been there for 2 years, and we've got to coach in 29 football games, played for it all in 23, and then got beaten the semis this year in 24. But that's my cell number. You DM me on Twitter, text me, email me, whatever. Anything we have here, I will share with you. Anything in whatever I've got is an open book. You know, I'm a guy that we've stolen everything, right? We all have stolen it, and you kind of package it and make it your own. So anyway, that's it. That's my contact info. And then we just kind of jump into this thing. For some, I guess it's because I'm ADHD and OCD rolled into one big gray-headed ball. But I'm very much a OCD guy about blocks and boxes. So I like uniformity. My wife and I, we argue a bunch about, like, she'll set pictures on the caddy corner and I'll go straighten them and stuff like that. But basically, so what we're doing is we're going to talk about quarterback drills, and we're going to talk about things that start in the weight room and then work to the practice field and then kind of go from there. All right. And kind of just get through a lot of stuff we do, that I do, done it, different places, and just kind of dive into it. And if we have some time, we're going to get into some off-season stuff as well. And I wish that I could take credit for every bit of this. I am going to plug a couple of names. Number one, last winter, I wanted to really deep dive more into pass protections and just nuts and bolts daily quarterback play. And so I went to about 6 different schools, colleges, and high schools to do passport stuff. And then I really latched into, one's a really, really good friend of mine, Ben Fox, head football coach at Marable College. And Ben would be a tremendous one to have on this thing, man. He is a freaking great football coach and a great guy. They won their conference this year. They hadn't done that very much. He's been there, and he's sort of turned that place on its ear. So a lot of this stuff some of this stuff is Ben's. And then a guy named Carmen Felis, who's the OC at West Alabama. Those are 2 guys I connected with really hot and heavy over the spring last year and really got a lot of this stuff. So let's just kind of dive into this, man. I wanted to make sure those 2 names. And then here lately, really getting into the science of like displacement and stuff like that has really been cool to see how quarterbacking has completely changed from 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. All right. So upper left-hand corner, and I make it purple for passes. Just kind of, I don't know why this is for me. On a game plan script, I think we talked about last time, red was runs and purple was passes. So upper left-hand corner says weight room warm-up. And this is something that I really hadn't done a lot until the last 3 or 4 years. One thing that comes from Tom House, Tom was a baseball pitching coach forever. And then he got in with Tom Brady and completely changed Brady's motion and everything about playing quarterback. And so one of his phrases that I use all the time is, you don't warm up to throw a football by throwing a football. And I think that a lot of the old school guys like me, you just go out there and grab the ball and get on a knee and start doing this and start doing that. And that's just not the way. That's not the world now. That's not the science now. So what we want to do is this. We want to take our quarterback, try to get them in the weight room at some point before practice. And, we're going to just kind of get into it with them. And we're going to dive into some no ball stuff. So let's talk about, first thing we're going to do is bands. So they've just got a regular rubber band, the big stretch band, big time with baseball players. And they're going to go take that band and they're going to just drape it around a 45-pound bar that's standing up in a rack or around a rack or whatever, where they can get some tension. And I'm going to try to kind of demonstrate as we go. And they're just going to simply work on shoulder rotation and tension, elbow rotation and tension, and chest, scapula kind of movement, some wrist stuff, every kind of stretch that you can simply think of, where I'm going to take a band and I'm going to go wide with it and up and back and rotate, and every sort of little movement that you can get to just simply get wrists, elbows, shoulders, chest, and scapula, back stuff really going. That's it. And that's going to take 2 to 3 minutes max. We're not really doing a ton of that stuff. We'll get it through 2 to 3, 4 minutes max. And we're going to knock that out, throw the band back in the box. And then we're going to move to some med ball stuff. Now, none of this is groundbreaking. None of this is like, as a buddy of mine says, none of this is fresh bread, man. This is all sort of recycled and repackaged and whatnot. And I've just got it purple. That's all I'm doing different. So we're going to take some med balls and they're going to get on a knee. We've got a little turf area in our weight room. You can do it anywhere. You can do it on the grass if you want to. And we're going to get about, 10 yards apart on a knee. And we're just going to simply work med ball passes, right? We're just working some med ball passes. And we're really on our knees. So we're pretty much isolating from the waist up. And we're going to do that for 3 or 4 throws a piece back and forth. And then we're going to go med ball overhead. So now we're just really kind of overheading the thing. But what we're doing there is we're starting to put an upper stretch on the shoulder, right? And so we're trying to start putting an upper stretch on that and really getting that arm in an uncomfortable position. We're going to do those 3 or 4 times. Then we're going to stand up and we're going to get about 10 yards apart. And we're just going to chest pass this thing back and forth. Now, we're not trying to obviously catch it. We're trying to, get it to bounce one time to each other. But now we're starting to get some of our legs into it a little bit. And we're just really trying to do full body warm-up stuff, honestly, is all this is. And then we're going to work some med ball drops. So this is the thing that I think is pretty unique and cool is, you're just going to take the med ball. Imagine you're all on the sideline facing the middle of the center, facing the middle of the field. You're just going to take a 3-step drop and you've got the med ball kind of in between your belly button and your nipples. You just kind of got it right there in a good low carriage. And you're just going to take a 3-step drop and you're just going to take 2 hands on that sucker and you're going to just torque and twist and throw, right? And you're going to do that multiple times. And I'll have our quarterbacks do it with 1-step drop. So not, kind of mimicking quick game and then 3-step drop, mimicking 3-step drop, full field shot place, whatever. And then we can do drops and twists. But basically, we want to do that. Now, we can do that earlier in the day if we need to, but we really want to try to do it right before we head out to practice. And my senior quarterback this year, I had him in 6th period. We're a 7-period day. I had him in 6, so he would sneak in there and do that, 30, 40 minutes before practice, right? And so we and guys, jump in, ask questions, stop me, say that don't make any sense, whatever. That's our no ball warm up in the weight room. We're just trying to use some bands and med balls to get some things rocking and rolling and get the body warmed up and moving. All right. So then we're going to jump in and now we're out on the field and we're going to now we're working our no ball warm up. And this is really and truly straight up Tom House, Ben Fox, Carmen Felix, right? Dak Prescott, Drew Brees. This is where this section comes from. And it was funny as hell this year at Rockmart. I'm the sort of the new guy, right? I've been there 2 years and I'm the new guy. Those guys have been together forever. And, I've got quarterbacks out there with the normal, regular, Powerade towel, and every coach is making fun of them and they're cackling. I'm like, man, you mock what you don't understand. I don't know. So anyway, we're going to go out and we're going to start on the sideline. So I'm going to kind of paint a picture for you. I think it was y'all, Ty Gower was on with y'all, correct?
Yeah.
And I remember hearing him say, because I listen to y'all when I drive to Georgia every morning. And I'm listening to Ty, and he's like, well, if you're in the truck listening, this is what you're doing. And so I'm going to try to paint it like if you're in the truck. So basically imagine you're standing on the sideline at about the 50-yard line. You're a quarterback. And what I'm asking you to do is walk towards the center of the field to the near hash. And we're going to start with what we call Scarecrow. So we're going to get our elbows equal with our biceps, kind of like this, right? And we're going to try to get our body in a constant strain. So I'm just kind of 90 degrees straight up. Nothing's moving. And I'm just going to walk to the near hash. I'm not trying to sprint. It's not a race. We're not getting a medal for doing it quickly. Our junior quarterback this year, he's a two-time state wrestling champion, and everything for him is about balls to the wall competition. Everything. And I'd tell him, man, dude, we're not in a race to get done with the warm up quickly. So basically, we call that Scarecrow. We're going to just elbows up, 90 degrees, lock it out. We're going to walk straight out. We're just getting in a constant strain. We're going to turn around as we come back, and we're taking that constant strain, and now we're just going to flap it, right? Just nice and easy, alternating flaps, trying to get that full 90 degree, or I guess 180. And we're trying to just flap that thing back. We're not in a hurry. We're not trying to go quickly. We're just trying to we're trying to mimic the band stuff we've already done. Now we're out on the field, right? That's it. And so then we're going to get to the sideline, and we're going to do we're going to do the DAC drill. Now, this is the one that's the stupidest looking one there is, but it is honestly the one that really helps throw a football more than anything. This is sort of the new science, that biometric company that every NFL quarterback's using now. Well, not every, but a ton of them. And it's called, we're basically trying to get our front hip displaced from our upper body and shoulders. All right. So imagine you're standing on the sideline and you're facing the end zone, and you're going to basically work shuffle drill towards the middle of the field. And you're just going to shuffle your feet, and you're going to let that, I'm right-handed, so let's just talk from a right-handed perspective. You're going to basically take that left hip, and you're going to fire that thing out, right? Just open it up hard as you can. You've seen it. You can Google it. You can go to YouTube and just type in Dak Prescott warm-up, and you'll see it. All right? But pretty much all the NFL guys are doing it now, because the point is back in the day, throwing a football meant over the top like a baseball player, right? And everything stayed tight, and the front shoulder and the front hip opened at the same time. Well, that's not what we want now. We don't do that anymore. Now it's about a lower arm slot, and you're trying to get that front hip to open first, let the shoulder come second, and create a whipping motion. Think like Indiana Jones, man. I'm trying to whip the football, right? And so we're going to just simply work on letting that front hip open, and we're going to try to keep the front shoulder, again, I'm right-handed, and we'll try to keep that front shoulder tight. And one of the coaching points that on this doc a little bit later that Tom House uses, he talks about bite the football, bite the burger. So like if I'm throwing the football this way, I've got my ball here, and I've got this left shoulder's here, and I'm trying to snap that front hip, and I'm biting the burger. I'm going to keep this thing tight. I don't want to let that shoulder fly. So it takes some time to really get good at the hip opening and the shoulder staying tight. So we got to.
You naturally want to throw that shoulder when you throw the hip. I mean, that's what I've always seen quarterbacks open. Yeah, I'm an O-line guy. I've never coached a quarterback, at least coached a quarterback well. But I've seen them, they throw the hip, the shoulder opens, and the back shoulder comes across. So what are you doing to really enforce that? I know you talked about biting the ball, but is there anything else you do?
And if I have to, I will walk behind them and keep my hand on their front shoulder if I have to. Right? There you go. Great. Perfect.
Here we go.
That's it. Boom.
That is the silliest drill I've seen.
It's dumb as can be, but I'm telling you, it is extremely effective trying to keep that front shoulder tight, right? And trying to keep that left hip, that front hip opening. But you would be amazed at how much whip and torque that you get from getting in that position. And that, that's kind of where the science is taking us, man. So, all right. So if you're
Coach, do you model that? Do you model that DAC drill for the players or?
No. But I'll show them that YouTube clip. I'll send it to them.
Yeah, Coach. Yeah. Is there any way we can show up with our camera gear and get you just to model that one time for the Board Drill podcast?
Yeah, hell no. No, it ain't happening.
Coach, I'm just saying, between you and me, we'd probably get 1 million views if we got you doing that. I'm just saying.
I tell you what, we guarantee $1 a view will do it. I guarantee you. But so that's sort of the one. So we've still not had a towel in nothing's in our hands yet, right? With Scarecrow, flaps, DAC, and then we're going to get into our towels. And so now we've just got not a hand towel like you'd wash your face with, but more like a towel at a sink or something like that, right? Like 12 to 16 inches long. And they're going to grip it at the end. And now we're just going to do towel slides. And basically, again, I'm on the sideline. I'm facing the end zone. And I'm just going to simply go, slide towards the middle of the field. And I'm just going to throw the towel. Slide, throw, slide, throw, slide, throw. And they're trying to, again, reinforce the front hip opening first. And we're trying to bite the burger, but we're just slide, throw. And we're just going all the way to the near hash. All right. And then we're going to turn back and we're going to incorporate the towel and the DAC, slide and twist. We're going to do that a little bit more, accentuate that a little bit more. And then we're going to get them back on the sideline. Everybody's facing midfield. Now we're just 5 yards apart. So you got one on the 40, one on the 45, one on the 50, one on the other 45. And they're facing midfield. And they're just going to simply work quick game throws, one-step throws, 2 to the right, 2 to the middle, 2 to the left. And I don't really care. And I tell them, I don't care if you go 1-2 right, 1-2 middle, 1-2 left, or go right, middle, left, right, middle. It doesn't matter to me. You're going to get 6 simulated throws with a towel, throwing quick game to your right, to your middle, and to your left. Now, I don't really care if you do 2-2-2 or 1-1-1, 1-1-1. Doesn't matter to me. All right. And so they're going to just simply, again, what am I looking for? They think I'm staring at the towel. I'm looking at the front hip. I'm just looking at the front hip. So they're going to do that for 6 simulated throws. And then we're going to do a 3-step drop and 2 to the right, 2 to the middle, 2 to the left. And I'll give them cues like, all right, guys, look, when it's 1-step quick game, you're throwing a hitch to the right, an OTB to the middle, and a hitch to the left. And when we're throwing the 3-step, you're throwing a curl to the right, a deep OTB to the middle, and a curl to the left, or a dig to the middle. Y'all, whatever we're doing that week, whatever's in the game plan, whatever throws we're carrying, just trying to get them, a little mental rep there. But that's it. So now we've done weight room, we've done bands, and we've done med ball. Now we're into on the field. We've done Scarecrow, flaps, DAC, and our towel stuff. Now we're ready to get a ball in our hands. All right, so the weight room stuff's going to take about 7 minutes total, right? Bands 3 or 4, med balls 3 or 4, 7 to 8 minutes, get you butt on the field. That no ball warm-up should never take them more than about 5. Never. We're doing that pre-practice before we start stretch. All right? Pre-practice before we start stretch. So they're going to get through that. And then when we come back out of stretch, now we're going to get into our ball warm-up. All right? Now, this is something that I think gets undervalued in football is cadence, right? Just cadence. I mean, how many kids are really good at cadence? How many kids really understand cadence? So we're going to do 5 cadence snaps. So you and I are a partner, Kyle, or Matt, you and I are a partner. We're 5 yards apart. And you're going to just simply, I'm going to go through our cadence, and I'm getting my clap and all that stuff, and you're going to snap it to me when I have triggered you to snap it to me, and now I'm going to do the same thing back to you, and we're working our cadences, right? We're just working through cadence and snap. Now, I tell them, look, man, we're going to get about 5 apiece here, and I want maybe 1 or 2 of them to be really good. The rest of it, I want 1 below the knee, 1 above the head, and make them move right or left. Don't just give them perfect snaps, because that's not the world we live in. And so, we're going to sit there and we're going to just go through about 5 cadence snaps, and that's all we're doing. What am I looking for? I'm listening for cadence. I'm looking for knee bend. I'm looking for athletic position. I'm looking for however they hold their hands. I used to teach them make a triangle, but some that's not comfortable. Some just want to have thumbs together. Some will have index together. So I just want them to be comfortable with their hands and not dropping snaps with their eyes on the ball. So we're going to do cadence snaps. Then we're going to do what I call cement. Again, now we're 5 yards apart, and we're going to just simply go through a little easy flick the ball warm up, right? We're just going to flick it over our head about 4 or 5 times a piece from 5 yards apart, facing each other, feet are shoulder width apart, and I'm not taking a step. I'm literally just isolating upper body and just flicking. And it's funny, our starting quarterback this year, his brother played at Cartersville, Georgia, and was the backup to Trevor Lawrence for 3 years. And then he got to start his senior year. So when Trevor would come back to Cartersville, the Parker boys would go throw with him. And Trevor, he wouldn't do warm up like that. He did it from 5 yards apart with like a spitting, flipping motion. And so Luke wanted to do it that way. So we started calling that the Trevor. All right. So you either have the flip or the Trevor. But basically, you're 5 yards apart, and you're literally just really getting wrist flexion. And what am I looking for? I'm looking to see the index finger leave the ball last and some kind of wrist flip. Boom. That's all I'm looking for. 3 or 4 or 5 of those. All right. So we're doing cement, facing each other, just a little flip. Then we're going to back it up 10 yards. And we're talking about throwing into the triangle from nose to nipples makes a triangle. So now we're facing each other. We're not moving our feet. They're outside our shoulders. I want a good wide base. We're just working trunk twist, obliques, lower body motion, boom, boom, boom. And we're just throwing and playing catch. That's a term I want to drop into this, playing catch. We went to Clemson last year as a staff, and we sat in a room with their OC, Garrett Riley. And I think as our head coach asked, man, what are you looking for when you're recruiting a quarterback? And he said the most profound, simple thing. And that's what I found, man, in football, like the simplest stuff's the best, right? And he said, when it all comes down to everything, obviously we want measurables. Obviously we want arm talent. Obviously we want decision-making. Obviously we want all this stuff. He said, but to me, when it comes down to it, I'm simply looking for the quarterback that can play catch the best. Because if you can play catch, you can be accurate, right? And so it really stood out to me. And so I say that to our quarterbacks, man, we're just playing catch. Don't overthink this. We're just playing catch. So now, cement facing each other, boom, 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 4 or 5 of those from 10 yards apart. Now we're both standing on a yard line. I'm on the 40. You guys are on the 30. We're facing each other. Now we're going to turn and face that way. Now we're straddling. I'm straddling the 40. You're straddling the 30. And one of us is getting to throw with, just normal across our body, no big deal. What am I looking for? I'm looking to bite the ball. I'm looking for the hip. I'm looking for all that stuff, but we're just throwing it down the line. The other one's going to really have to turn and twist and torque to get that throw. And we still talk about it's a 3D target, nose and nipples. I'm still trying to hit the triangle from a sideways throw, right? So we're going to do that for 4 or 5 steps. All right, then we're going to turn it and face it the other way. So both of us are throwing to our right and to our left, throwing across our body, having to really torque and turn, and then throwing with it easily. All right, we're going to do that for 4 or 5 steps. Then we're going to do a 1-step drop, working quick game. And I used to make that always straight ahead, and I thought that's really stupid. So now we do that on an angle. So one of you'll be on the sideline, guys, at the 45, and I'm on the hash at the 50. And I'm throwing quick game to you for 3 or 4. You're throwing 1-step quick game to me. And then I'm jogging to the hash sideline. You're jogging to the hash, and we're going to do it again. So we're getting a little angle because quick game is generally angle throws. Do the same thing from about, let's say I'm on the 50 and you're on the 35 to 40, something like that. But I'm on the sideline, you're on the hash. 3-step drop throw, 2 or 3 apiece. Change it up, 2 or 3 apiece going the other way. No big deal. Then we're going to get on the yard line facing each other. None of this is revolutionary. We're about 10 to 12 yards apart. What we usually will tell them is, look, one guy start on the sideline, one guy start on the hash. Sideline guy jogs towards the guy on the hash. Guy on the hash backpedals 1 or 2. I'm throwing it to you. You catch it. You jog back, throw to me, because we do run sprint out. We do run nakeds. That's just a way to work on throwing on the run and really trying to finish the throw and all that stuff. We're still talking about the front shoulder and all the mechanics and everything we do. All right. And then we're going to get into our little RPO drill. This one's pretty simple. I'm back on the sideline. I'm on the 50. You're 15 yards away. You're on the 35. We're both on the sideline. We're on the ticks. And I'm just simply flipping the ball up in the air to myself, so simulating catching a snap, and I'm just working RPO footwork, boom, throwing it down the line. You're catching it, boom, throwing it down. We're just kind of working our footwork 4 or 5 times. So we're in warm-up, bands, med balls. Get on the field, no football, Scarecrow, flaps, DAC, all our towel stuff. Then we're into our first little deal, and we're into our warm-up stuff. Now, then what happens? Y'all got any questions so far? We good so far?
No, I'm trying to, Coach, you said each one you kind of had a time frame on. I'm trying to see if I can just mark this up real quick. This one was
no more than
let me write it?
Minutes, 7 to 8 minutes.
For the weight room?
Yes, for the weight room, no more than 7 to 8.
I don't know if I can do this right. The next one was, how long was?
The no ball should never take more than 4 to 5 minutes, ever.
Just so people listening,
and that's realistic. Now the ball warm up is going to take about. We get it down to about 6 to 7 minutes, and when we're really cooking and going, that's usually what it is. So now, then where I'm at, none of our quarterbacks really do anything with special teams. So our head coach is really good with me. There's a lot of times during our season, and especially during specific special teams, where I can take the quarterbacks and go get some work done. So now when we do this, we're going to be working a lot more of our footwork stuff. So pretty much so far, all we've done is throwing mechanics, right? We've not really had a lot of footwork into it. So now we're going to work footwork. So I'll start. I like screen drops. If we're not a big screen team, where we're at Rockmart, we're not a screen team at all. But so if I'm somewhere where I'm calling the offense completely or whatever, we're going to have some screen drops in there, just some, catch 1, 2, 3, get big, drift, dump 1, 2, just get a couple just to kind of mimic that and work it, to kind of get our body ready for that, if that's in the script that day. So then we're going to do our Wolfpack drill. And I got to tell a story, man. So I was coaching at a school here in Tennessee, and I had 3 quarterbacks on the roster, and 2 of them were playing for the 7-on-7 team. And I just was not a fan of their coach. I wasn't a fan of what they do. I think they had 6 quarterbacks on a 7-on-7 team. Like, dude, this is a money grab. Complete. So anyway, their name was the Wolfpack. And so I call the Footwork drills Wolfpack drills, just to be a peckerhead, to be honest.
I love the spike game, Coach. I love it.
So anyway, we called our Footwork Wolfpack. So I don't use bags or cones. So I want you to think about the 40-yard line, the numbers, the 4 and the 0, right? That's what I'm going to use. I'm fortunate. I'm at a place that has a turf field. So we're going to use the numbers. And so each quarterback's going to have a ball in his hand, and he's going to start with his toes at the top of the numbers in between the 4 and the 0. And he's going to simply take a big 3-step drop, right? 1, 2, 3, and he's going to set. And then I'm going to tell him before the drill starts, okay, you're a right-handed quarterback. You've taken a 3-step drop and you've set up in the pocket. So your feet are still kind of happy, not like Peyton Manning happy, but they're bouncing a little. And the defensive end from your left side has gotten free. But he's not got a great angle on you. He's going to buzz you. So all I'm asking you to do is take one big step to your right, take away his angle, and reset your feet. All right? So that's Wolfpack big R and L. So I'm going to take 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to, he's just going to get in his head. I'm just going to tell him, 1 second, step it away. Sometimes we'll have the quarterbacks do it, jog at him and all that stuff too. All right. So that's to the right. And then we're going to do it to the left. So we're going 1, 2, 3, bounce and just take a 1 step, reset our feet. And then when they come into our front side from our right side, if we're all right-handed, we're going to take a 1 step back and, back step, reset and throw. On Twitter, this has been a month or 2 ago, maybe back in the season probably, Kurt Warner got into this freaking diatribe 2-day Twitter jihad about which foot goes first in the back step. And I'm like, dude, I don't care. Most of mine will take the right foot back, then reset with the left foot. But, whatever. So that's our Wolfpack big R and L. Then we're going to do the Wolfpack climb. So now it's just simply, look, man, you've hit your 3-step drop. You've got your feet set. And both 3 techniques have straight vertical buzzed you. You've got to climb back where you came from, right? So we're talking about ball protection and keep it tight. And they're going to be swiping at you and all that stuff. You want to have a good carriage, good grip on the football, slide. Sometimes we'll incorporate a throw. Sometimes we won't. All right. So then now we go back and we got sprint right and left. So now that defensive end on your backside has got an angle for you and you feel him or you see him and you've got to sprint outside the pocket. Right. So that's Wolfpack sprint right and left. And then we've got Wolfpack flush right and left. So that's combining a climb with a 45-degree flush out of the pocket. Okay. And this is one place where I suck as a quarterback coach. Everything I just talked about, the Wolfpacks, all should end with a throw, and I never do it. But they should. They should end with a throw, and I never do it. Because, where I'm at now, I've got 3, I had 4 quarterbacks this year. So it would have been easy for us to set up a little triangle, you're across the ball, you're over here slightly, boom, in with a throw. And I need to do that. I need to do that. That would make it so much better, right? But we're doing special teams. We don't have a ton of room on the field. We're trying to stay here out of the way. And I'm just trying to get as much footwork as I can because we've already got a bunch of throws. But I need to do that. So that's our Wolfpack big, climb, sprint, flush. Then we're going to work some option pitches. Even if we don't run option, we're going to work a few option pitches. I mean, we're just 5 yards apart on the sideline, jog to the near hash, step, pitch, turn around, come back, just something really simple. And then we'll mix in some ball handling drills at some point during the week. We don't do it every day, but we're going to just mix in some ball security from a drop, just whatever it is. We'll just pick one a day and we'll do it. All right. So now that's it. Now we've warmed up, and with the ball and special teams, that stuff, that never takes more than 3 or 4 minutes. I mean, we're flying through that stuff. So you got it in the weight room, pre-practice, our little warm-up period, and then during special teams, which is the first thing we go do. And if our head man moves special teams to the middle of practice, we'll do it in the middle. We'll get our footwork in the middle. If he moves it to the end, we'll get it to the end, right?
Absolutely love that you have a plan for special teams time, Coach. That's awesome. A lot of times you see coaches just kind of take that time off, and it's hard getting them into having a plan for that. And I absolutely, as a former head coach, I love seeing that.
I think, and one thing that I don't have on here, you kind of said that and triggered it, and I need to add this, honestly. When I was an OC in Knoxville, we would do something, we called it top of the route. So basically, I would take the quarterbacks, unless it was an extra point field goal day, because they were all holders. And I would take here you go. I got to throw this in. I've heard football players standing on the sideline for years called Roys. Go get the Roys. And I never knew what in the hell Roy stood for. Never. And an old coach said it when we were on the phone one day, and he was like, yeah, the rest of y'all. Roy, R-O-I, rest of y'all. And I'm like, oh, my God. I never knew. Years ago, I never knew what Roy meant. But what I'll do is I'll take the Roys, man. I'll just take 5 or 6 kids. Maybe they're the 6-string receivers. And I'm going to put them on the sideline on the ticks. And the quarterback's going to be on the hash. And we're 10 yards apart. We're out of the way. And I'm just going to simply say, okay, you have hit the top of a curl route. You are going to just simply walk towards the quarterback. And the quarterback is going to do an easy, slow 3-step drop. And then he's going to just simply throw the football easy to a curl route walking at him. Or I tell him, you're on the ticks and you're at the top of a comeback route. And the quarterback's going to take his we're just going to work the top of a route, something coming back at us or going away from us, an out or whatever. And so that's one of the things that really I need to add, because that was always done during special teams. And I felt like that did so much for those receivers that don't get a ton of reps, for their confidence, and getting quarterbacks to understand a route that's coming back to you. This is what it should look like, right? So anyway, I'm going to add that. I got to add that back to that. So next thing we're going to get into is kind of some drill stuff, and especially group mesh. And I think the term, when you hear mesh, you immediately think running backs, quarterback, handoffs, right? Well, I look at mesh as, yes, it can be handoffs, but then it can also be a 5-minute period with a specific position group, maybe working something that we don't work a lot or that maybe is new in the game plan. So when I lay this out, and as an OC and a head coach, this was religion for me, man. We were going to have these mesh periods every day of the week. We were going to have about 2 of them on Monday, 2 on Tuesday, and 1 on Wednesday. So I wasn't going to be able to hit everybody all week, but we were going to hit the main things, right? So you could take the Q and the tailback. In my system, the tailback's the pistol back or whatever. He's the T. And they could go and they could work wide zone mesh for 5 minutes and inside zone mesh, 2.5 and 2.5 if they wanted to. Or what if that week we're running a bunch of fake the naked boot and go set up and throw a tailback wheel off the backside? Or what if we're working tailback slow screens? Or what if we're pushing him out of the backfield with the pre-snap push motion, tear motion, whatever people call it, getting him out of the backfield, and we're trying to throw that swing, right? Or what if he's running a wheel route a lot this week? So we're going to take one thing and spend 5 minutes on it. What is that one most important thing that week, right? And so we're just going to set it up, and we're going to go and find us a little place, and we're going to work a mesh with the T. The F for us is a slot receiver / running back. Think wing T slot, but he doesn't ever line up off, right up on a tackle, right? In my system. And we just go, what if, let's say this week it's jet. We're going to run a bunch of jet with the F. All right, let's time some jets up. Or what if we're going to work a lot of bubbles with him? Let's time some bubbles up with him, right? It doesn't have to be a run play. Then we could put the running backs together and get a combination drill of that mesh. Same thing with the tight end. How many people spend a lot of time everybody wants to have a flat route RPO built in with a tight end off an inside zone or split zone or whatever. Well, do you really spend time on it? Or are you just calling it in practice 2 or 3 times and say, well, he runs flat routes normally. And, no, let's go work this. Let's work the timing of it. If it's a delayed release on a naked slam boot or whatever, right? So, well, I guess y'all kind of starting to see the point of it. It can be that. Then you can go to your receivers, your X's and Z's, and work whatever that is that week. Quarterback, center snaps, and I'll be honest with you, I'm terrible at that. I'm terrible at doing it. Our offensive line coach at Rockmart's really good about sending the centers to the quarterbacks and making us do it with them. I mean, I suck at it. I'm not going to lie. I suck at coaching corner routes, and I suck at getting snaps. Till we don't get a snap, and then I'm pissed. All right. So then one of the other things that we started doing this year that really helped is quarterback and offensive line just working protections, walking through protections during special teams, right? Because when are the O-line and quarterbacks involved in special teams? Extra point field goal. So that happens on one day of the week. The other 2 or 3 days of the week, they're not. So we go down and we'll just simply say, this is their odd front, and here's the 3 best blitzes. And the O-line coach has already walked through it with his guys, and they already know what they're doing. And then the quarterback's just calling out protections and seeing who's this and that and changing protections. And, so we're just that's just a mesh period for us. It's walking. It's not full tilt. It's basic in special teams. And then I'm you know what? I do have top of the route. Look at me. So then the top of the route thing there's in the mesh. So yes, mesh can be handoff, but more than anything, it's truly just let's break it down and let's get the quarterback involved with a position group, and let's go work on one thing, whatever that one thing is. All right. So then we get into our group drills and some team drills. And this is the thing I think as an OC and a head coach, this is one of I think 3 things we did really well in practice when I was in charge of an offense or in charge of a program. We had some drills that were really, really, really good. One being what we called pride drill. You've seen it on YouTube. It's the spider drill. Georgia calls it spider drill. Temple calls it spider drill. You can Google spider drill and find it. But to me, it's as good as it gets at simulating what football really is, right? I mean, it's tempo and it's physical and it's there's nowhere to hide in it. But that's a good one for us. The Kirby Smart, Millennial, Oklahoma, OK2K stuff. We do that a ton at Rockmart. It's great for us. Our defensive coaches love it. And then this one. Now, this one is one that I started doing, 2016, I guess. We call it PUP. Now, it's not like most people hear PUP, pass under pressure, it's team pass. No, because I don't teach coverages to quarterbacks. I teach progressions. Everything is a progression for me, 1 to 2 to 3 to whatever. And so what we'll do is we'll take our 11 on offense, and Matt, I'm going to say, hey, Matt, you're a defensive guy. Your guys are in the 3. Our opponent this week is 3-3. So here's the 3 best blitzes we're going to see from 3-3. So I need one of you or the defensive coaches to hold up those 3 cards and just simply take the 6-man box, 3 down linemen, the 3 stack backers. That's all I want to see. All right. Now, if we've studied it and broke it down and the Spurs or ponies or outside guys are involved in the blitz a bunch, we'll add them. But more times than not, what I've seen is when you're breaking a 3-3 down, if they blitz less than 24%, the Spurs then don't even involve them, right? It's not even a fourth of the time. So anyway, you got your 6, 3 down, 3 stack. I've got my 11, and we're going to say it's maybe a 10-minute period, but definitely a 7 or 8 minute period. And we're going to run one quick game route, one full field concept. Think all hitches, think curl flat. We're going to run 1 naked, 1 shot, and 1 screen. So we got 5 plays. That's it. And we're going to try to run those as many times as we can run it versus our 11 versus your 6. Because the quarterback don't need structure. He's working progressions, 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, right? So that allows us to basically get live Wolfpack work. That's all it is. It's live footwork for the quarterback, moving in the pocket, setting his protections, everything we've already done during special teams, lining up to our protections, working our footwork, getting snaps, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. One of the best things we do that I felt like whenever I've got, if I'm controlling the practice, that's one of the things we're always going to do, and it is really good. It's been great for us. Now, You put that on Twitter and you'll get people like, well, now, I mean, teach cover 3 reads and I keep, okay, that's fine. But this is what works for us, because to me, this is more of a live pass protection drill with throws. It's not throwing, and the pass pros is secondary. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, Matt, I mean, we used to do a PUP drill kind of later on, or what I like to just call regular defense, because I'm always blitzing anyway. So,
yeah, and it definitely helps to have a defense that's able to come, give you a good look. And I think that with what you're doing, keeping those front 6 and only have to deal with those 6 kids on defense, you're going to get a better look than, because it's focused, it's concentrated. You'll probably get a better look than a typical 11-on-11 situation where there's kids everywhere.
Yeah. One more thing to it as well, and this is a defensive guy talking to offensive guys, but I had this relationship with several offensive guys I worked with. If you're learning the other side of the ball, sometimes it's easy. I've been on certain staffs where like, hey, just run your, this blitz. And yeah, you may have cards for it, right? But if we already know how to run double A gap, don't bother drawing up the card. Just tell our kids what it, right? Our kids knew at one school, we just called it main, right? Main was right up the middle. And so the OC was able to look over and he's like, hey, just run main, right? Now, all the kids knew exactly what they're doing. They heard that. So that's another cool piece. If you can learn, 3-3 may be different if you don't run that, but I'm saying like, if the defense you're seeing bases out of the same thing you're going to see, if you can just name those blitzes after what you guys normally run, that also speeds up that process as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it is, one of the things that I saw at one of my stops was the defensive coordinator would send, like, his JV coordinator would come down to run that for us, and like, I'm not a big scripter of things. I think football has to be organic. I'm a play it guy. I mean, look, if we're all on the same staff and I'm calling the offense, and Kyle, you're a defensive guy that runs odd front and even,
yeah.
Man, just give me that. They play more quarters than anything. Just give me that and mix it up for us. Make our guys apply rules. They have rules, make them apply.
Yeah.
So pup, inside run, everybody does. Half line, I love half line. But I love half line, including receivers and having RPOs mixed in with it too. So now we're getting through full perimeter. Love that stuff. Screen period for us. We've never, ever practiced screens on live. They're always on air. My belief on screens is more about execution and timing and spacing than it is anything else.
Coach, we had a rule where we did screen period, but we did it full out. But the rule was if a coach said screen period out loud, we had to cancel it.
Yeah.
So that was the key, was you're not allowed to tell anyone it's screen period. Don't let a kid look at the schedule that day. Not, and it was just one of those, because as soon as the kids know it's screen, right, the defense just cheats and I'm a defensive guy, but they cheat their asses off. So it was like, we can do a screen period. And they were like, look, Kyle, just call a bunch of pressures. And I'm like, all right, cool. We need to learn how to do this anyways. And, but the kids would come over like, Coach, there's a lot of screens in that. I'm like, yeah, it was screen period, dumbass. Like, they threw 15 in a row. What do you think? That's what we're doing on Friday night? So I enjoyed that one quite a bit.
Well, the rest of that stuff, man, is pretty self-explanatory. Greens. So I know line coach I worked with one time, he would bring out the big med ball, the big exercise balls, and let them roll. I think we talked about that last time.
Yeah.
Perimeter stuff, working on, anything that's on the perimeter. OK2K, the Millennial Oklahoma stuff. Routes on air is great. Half line 7-on-7. Partner used to be called Dallas. Basically, that's just working running backs versus linebackers and tight ends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then team takeoff, which is big. All right, I won't go into all that, but that's my RPO mesh menu. That's my RPO menu right there. And so a lot of times we're going to work those specific RPOs when we're working our mesh periods with our group people, whoever those people are. Now, kind of these bottom two things have really things that have kind of grown and changed over the years. Quarterback reminders. We want to get the back foot down fast. I heard something the other day. They were talking about how they would tell a quarterback to kind of like a drill they would use. He would just stand there with the football in his hands and imagine he's jumping rope. But and then when the coach claps his hand, he's got to get the back foot down and get throw, And I thought, man, that's a really good coaching point, because you got to get that back foot down.
Yeah.
I stole this straight from an NFL film saying, wait inside the front foot. That's one of the things when I talk about the plant, front shoulder tight, bite the ball. This is one that I think this one really changed my thinking on throwing a football, because it used to be everything was about the ball had to be above your ear.
Yeah.
Right. And you were going to hold it like a U and get above your ear and then snap it and finish it. Right. We don't do that anymore. And so we want to try to bite the burger. But the one thing that I've heard, especially as NFL guys, if you can get film on it, hear them talking, is they talk about the bicep by the ear. You're going to keep your bicep as close to the ear as you can. We went through a phase. Darren Slack was talking about, turning the ball back. Really turn it back, and nobody really does that anymore. I mean, you still turn it back a little bit, but you're really just trying to get your stroke short, compact, up and out.
Yeah.
Right? Up and out. And the bicep by the ear really keeps it tight. Everybody used to talk about if you didn't have that true windmill throwing motion going low and looping and all that stuff, you couldn't play quarterback. Man, no, that's just not the world we're in anymore.
It just reminds me of Byron Leftwich, being a Jags guy myself, that big wind-up, right?
I saw thing, it used to be back in the day, man, it was the higher the better. And so, but now, that's just not where we are, So now we're going to try to get the bicep by the ear. We're trying to talk about holding the C. We're trying to hold the C and try to get that thing in and out. And then the other thing I talk about is find the whip. So if a quarterback, if his front hip's not really, if it's not unlocking first and the shoulder coming second, man, we got to find the whip, right? We got to really find the whip. Daily must for us, no DAPS. That's an acronym I've used forever. And it's funny. It used to be no DAPS was no dumbass plays or dumbass penalties, really, dumbass penalties. And so I went to a school and I'm tweeting out no DAPS and the superintendent starts retweeting it. And I'm like, well, because if he asks, what's it mean? Well, it's dumbass penalties and you're tweeting it out, dumbass. So DAPS for us are no dumb actions, attitudes, stuff like that. And then it's no dumb penalties, plays, plans, or people. We talk about that all the time with them. No DAPS. Try to eliminate it. Stole this straight from Alabama that takes no talent. I think that's a unbelievable coaching cue for a kid. Takes no talent. Efficient, don't go broke making money. We always talk about that. Man, look, flat route's the greatest throw in football, especially if you're at Rockmart. We got kids that can get on perimeter and can turn and burn. Flip it out there, man, and let them jokers go do what God gave them the ability to do. We always want to be positive, try to get our quarterbacks to be positive. And we talk to them a lot about BTM. It's bigger than me, right? You're going to get a lot more credit than you deserve. You're going to get a lot more blame. So sort of the quarterback part of it. I feel like we covered that all right. Is there any questions you got there? Where are we at on time? If we got time, we can get into this. If not, we don't.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't have anything better to do.
Hey man, I'm on a 2-hour delay tomorrow. So this is some off-season stuff. And I'll be honest with you, this is going to look different wherever you are. In Georgia, we're allowed to have 4-on-1s. Yeah. Basically, starting January 1, you can have 4-on-1s. So I can take you two and 2 other kids out 4 days a week and whatever, and just throw or do whatever we wanted to do. And so this is what off-season workouts can look like. And if it's not, then you can go in a room, and this can be film, or this can be, a stand-up walking meeting. That's one of the things that I think we missed the boat on in high school, that NFL guys are so much ahead of our curve. Man, I saw a thing, and I think it was on Twitter. The Cleveland Browns have a meeting room, and imagine just a big freaking huge wall, and the film projects on it, and the offensive line lines up, and it's a defense lined up in a film, right? And they're pointing out, I think that's not complicated. I mean, that's just huddle end zone. Hell, grab a drone footage and film practice and just line up and talk through stuff. But so anyway, this is kind of how this would look depending on where you are. 10 minutes full warm-up. That means the bands have already happened. The med balls have already happened. All that stuff. We're just getting out and we're going through our towels and our flaps and all that stuff. We're going to try to haul ass and get through as much as we can. We're going to do 5 minutes of line drops. Line drops are those long, elongated. I'm on the sideline. I'm dropping to the near hash. I'm dropping to the middle of the field. I'm dropping, just really kind of aerobic more than anything. All right, so we're going to kind of get that. Now we're 15 minutes in. Then we're going to go 10 minutes of straight up RPOs and quick game on Tuesdays, right? So hitting 1, 2, 3, 6 RPOs and 2 quick games. Pop, slap, bubble, rip, lift, smoke, all RPOs. Houston and rub, 2 quick games. Quarterbacks are partnered up. We're throwing, bam, bam, bam. Or could have a quarterback and some receivers out there. It doesn't matter. And we're just going to kind of lay that out. But we're going to try to do on Tuesdays, we're going to hit those RPOs and quicks. And on Thursdays, we're going to have a 10-minute block. And we're going to go, we can hit everything we do in 10 minutes. Now, are we able to get really good at one of those in 10 minutes? No. But for me, it's more about we're really trying to just get as much as we can in as we can, right? So that's Tuesday, Thursday. You can kind of see us laid out. 10 minutes of progression. So now we're working our full, quick game for us is a lot about grass, right? It's grass and dudes and spacing and whatnot. Now we're going to hit our progression stuff. Spot route. Spot route for us is stick for everybody else in America, right? Or sorry, snag. Curls, curl flat. Mesh is mesh. Ride is just a tag to give a little play action token. Sticks is comebacks. Oilers is Y sail. Hoss is the Patriots Y juke. And then we're going to work some rides again. So that's just working progressions. You have a couple guys standing out there simulating the curl, the top of the curl route. Quarterback's going to ride 1, 2, 3, throw. 1, 2, 3. Everybody's just going to go through it and get it. And it's really quick. So it's a lot more volume than we really want to do in a day. But we think it'll carry over once we get to the season. 10 minutes on third. Then the other 10 minutes is shots, play actions, and movement stuff. Just kind of blocking that thing off 2 days a week. Now, again, that can be on a field. That can be in film. That can be standing up in a meeting room. That can be on a board. Anything. That's just kind of how I like to lay it out a couple days a week. I don't want to do it. We don't want to get together all the freaking time. I mean, you just don't. Look, y'all had my boy Josh Jones on. I think the quarterbacks, they have sleepovers at his house, man. Them suckers. But I'm telling you now, they're extremely well coached and they understand. They get it. But, dude, I mean, they spend time. They absolutely spend time. So that's kind of how you'd lay out an off season. And then I just threw this in. This is a progression families for me. So what we'll do is I'll teach a quarterback, look, man, this is your inside out progression family, right? So we're going to kind of work this thing inside out. Josh would have called it a scan read, right? But for me, it's just, I'm going to block off a family. So inside out, like let's take sticks. Sticks for us is the widest receiver to either side running a comeback route, 1 step past the yard line needed, the sticks. The inside receivers are running, they're going to run a stop route 1 step past the sticks. And we're going to read that thing inside out. So he's going to take his snap, and as he's dropping, he's eyeing the inside sit route or the stop route, whatever you want to call it. Does somebody get under it? If they do, I'm going to just simply work to the comeback route. And if nobody does, I'm going inside route, throwing it right now, boom, let him catch it, fall down, and we got the first down. But as he's just simply, catch 1, 2, 3. Is he open? Yes, throw it. If not, work to the next one. Then we just throw it low and away, and where our guy can get it or nobody. So that's an inside-out read for us. Then we have outside-in reads. Houston, which is all hitches, or Indiana, which is slant flat. To me, I always teach a slant route that the flat route's the first thing thrown. It comes open fastest. It comes open first. The slant opens second. You rarely get a window 1 slant. You get a window 2 slant. So we're going to just simply work out. Then we're going to talk about outside in. Then we can high-low, right? Smash, great high-low read, right? Whatever. Oilers, Y sail, high-low read, working back down. All right. Then we can go low-high. I don't teach curl flat that we're going to read the curl back to the flat. The flat comes open first. So we're going to catch 1, 2, 3. Did somebody jump the flat? If they didn't, spit it right now and give it to him. Let him turn his shoulders and go get us 3 or 4. Right now we're in 2nd and 6. We can live in that. If the flat gets taken away, then I'm looking for the curl. So we've got our high-low reads on outside stuff. Then we got low to high reads. Smash is a low-high read to me. I'm throwing the hitch. If it ain't there in the corner, because what comes open first? The hitch is 5 yards. The corner's a 10 and a break, right? And I've already told you I suck at coaching corner routes. So then we got flies.
Coach, do you run flood? Like
flood,
generic flood?
Like
go out?
Yes, that's
all
Oilers.
Trips go.
Yeah,
that's Oilers.
Y sail. Yeah.
So you're reading that high-low.
Yes. So we're going to take the 3-step drop, and he's peaking the vertical, right? And then he's working his way back down the stem. We have to read it high-low, because if we don't, we'll never get the vertical. Because by the time we went through flat out, now I'll be honest with you, Most of the places I've been, the vertical was a dummy. We were never throwing it, and I would put flood in a low-high progression. Look, dude, that vertical, you're never throwing it. Or I would put it in the oh shit column. Oh shit, everybody fell down and he's open. Throw right.
Yep.
So that's a great question, and that really kind of goes, that kind of hits me on, is he teaching this thing the wrong way? Because, yes, right now where I'm at, we had a receiver that, he's signed at UAB. We can throw that sucker up to him and he goes and makes plays. Yeah, so if I've got him and I'm calling this play, then I'm going to read that thing and give him a shot first. But generally, I would rather it be a low to high. And then
that was my question, because that's where I've seen the most variation from coaches teaching high to low, low to high, is just with the simple flood concept, and you see it all over the board.
Yeah, well, I think it's a great question, because what does it teach you? Like, it teaches you where his bread's buttered in a hurry. Like, to me, I would much if I have control of everything, then it's going to probably be a low to high, because I'm going to take the flat, because that falls into curl, snag, anything that, rub, stick, whatever. Those all, because the flat comes open first. But if you've got a guy and you've got a quarterback that can get it up there to him, well, yeah, let's look that thing back down. But then here's the other part of the equation. All right, let's say we're reading flood high to low. All right, so it's vert, deep out, flat. Well, now you've got to really coach the flat up, because, look, man, once you get to the numbers, you got to set it down. Right? You can't wheel it up, because you're going to get it, And then, well, coach, what if I'm wheeling up on this? So, yeah, great question. Great question. Then the others are just pure progressions for us. Spacing, spacing has been my labor of love this offseason. Diving into it, really listening to it. We asked this clinic, Kyle and I were talking before we got on. I co-host a clinic in Marietta, and we asked a guy to come speak specifically because I wanted to hear his spacing. I wanted him to talk about spacing. And he was unbelievable at it, man. He's so good with it. Spacing is a true progression for us. OTB, hash, numbers. Or you're working at left. OTB, hash, numbers. That's how I teach spacing. Mesh is a pure progression for us. Boom, boom, boom. Viper, which is 4 verticals for us. That is, pick a side, number, hash, backside. Yeah. Right to left or left to right. And Admiral for us, which is double post over. So, yeah, I think that if you are a progression guy, then you have to have this for your quarterback so they can study it, right? So they can really look at it. And then what I've got, now we don't have it here, but I've got a doc that pretty much takes every pass concept I carry and tells, what does the X have on this? What's the Z have? What's the Y? Because I don't teach passing game like from the standpoint of what's number one, like Josh talks about, number 1, number 2, number 3. To me, if we call curl, the X and Z are running curls. I don't give a damn where they are. They're running curl. The Y is either going to, depending on the year, most of the time he's going to OTB that thing at about 6 yards and hold the inside backers, hold the hook players. But sometimes if he's a more athletic kid, we're going to push him to a vertical of about 10 to 12 and let him run a stop curl. So then we can go inside, outside, whatever, right? Or we can go low, high, depending on the year, depending on the kids. But, I want to make sure that we have that progression stuff built in this picture. And then we're going to take each pass play and break it down specifically. What does each player have? And then this is your progression for that pass play. And I take it. I don't hand the quarterbacks. I don't hand them paper. I stopped doing that years ago. I go to my Google Drive on my phone and I screenshot it and tighten up the window so that's all they see, and I text it to them. That's how they get their weekly game plan. That's how they get their scouting report, because they can save it on their phone. They're never going to lose their phone. They're going to lose a piece of paper in 6 seconds. And so, send them clips through their phone. I don't hand them paper anymore. I don't. I think that they're going to lose it. That's not the world we live in today. But I think you've got to have, if you're a progression guy or if you're a read guy, okay, well, then you need to break it up. If we're going to have outside linebacker reads, okay, these pass plays fall in that. Corner read, safety reads, however the case may be.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense, Coach. I mean, we always talk about bucketing things to making them easier to learn for kids.
There you go.
Because it doesn't matter what we know. It matters what we can transfer to our players, right?
Oh, no
I know plenty but does my 16-year-old, like you said, Mike linebacker, how much does he know? Yeah. That's what matters.
That's it. I mean, we talk about it all the time. My job's not to trick the defensive coordinator. It's to make the 15-year-old
correct
linebacker that's playing because somebody's hurt. I trick him, right? Well, guys, that's it. That's what I got, man. Y'all got questions or comments, or we want to dive into anything else?
I mean, Coach, I love it, right? The biggest thing I've heard and I recognize is your organization is fantastic. And, you almost cracked a joke and acted like that was a vice of yours. But I think that's such an awesome strength of how organized you are. It's really fun to watch it. I'm that kind of person. It's like every year I want to see, can I retool and reorganize this? Because I never feel like I'm fully organized. And Matt will tell you, I've been known to delete my playbook every single year and redraw it because I want to see if I can figure out a way to better organize it. So I used to do that. I used to delete the entire playbook and redraw from scratch every year.
I mean,
mainly because I'm a psychopath, but the other reason is I want to see if we can reorganize it, or if we need to cut things out, or if I'm now at a point where I want to write rules differently, right? Like, yeah, I don't feel that way anymore. I feel this way. So,
I mean, you got an hour and 10-minute commute every morning. I mean, there's mornings that I'll turn off the podcast, I'll turn the radio off, and I'll just simply talk or inner monologue through a play. Yep. How would I teach this, or what am I going to do with this, or hell, even like if you got a head football interview coming up, how are you going to answer this question? I mean, I think that, you have to be comfortable talking about your stuff, right? Yep. Whatever stuff is, just like sitting here tonight, going through that and forgetting that I had top of the route in one other section, hey, because I'm speaking at a clinic this Friday.
Yeah.
Well, when this is going to air, but I'm speaking at a clinic in 2 days.
Oh, this will air after that, obviously.
Yeah. But I'm speaking on this. So, get a chance to kind of look at it and go through it. But I think, I don't know, man. I've been this way my entire life. When I was a kid, I would take all my toys and I would line them up by, G.I. Joe here and Star Trek here, Star Wars here, whatever. My closet's done color-coded. I know it's annoying. I understand it. But, me, I've got 2 children and I tell them all the time, look, I am a 51-year-old ADHD person that they didn't know what it was when I was a kid, right? But I had to teach myself how to cope and deal and work with. And for me, putting, if that document we just went through wasn't in boxes, it would piss me off. I would get like, where's the line? Where's it drawn? Where does this stop and this start? There has to be. My resume is in boxes. Like, I just,
Coach, you remind me of my former offensive coordinator, Tyler Lampy. He was the most OCD person ever. If I didn't write something on the board properly, or it was in the wrong spot, he would be all over me. But I think that's what it kind of takes to be a good offensive coordinator in high school football, is to have that OCD and make sure you have that organization and you have that method that you use to put everything in its place and make sure it's presented in an organized way to your players and to your other coaches. And, that just shows the links that you go through to make sure that everything's proper and the communication's there.
Coach, I'm going to give you the adult version of that real quick, because it's literally what I do for a living. It's called creating branding guidelines and standards. That's what I tell people, right? But it's really just like you're saying, I have adult ADHD and a little bit of OCD mixed in with that. But I literally do graphic design, some other things for a living. But the first thing I do when I deal with a new client is, you need to create branding standards. This needs to be the font. When it's a heading, it's in this font. And we go down all that stuff. And I laugh at it. People are like, man, where'd you get this from? I'm like, guys, this is directly from football. Like,
oh, yeah,
there's a place for everything and there's a way we do it. And like, look, this font should be 16 bold underline because it's a heading, or, whatever. So that's the best way to say it, Coach. These are our new branding standards and guidelines.
Everything I do is in Nunito black. It's going to look the same, man. If it doesn't, I'm like, what in the world? I can't read this.
Everybody has their font, and if you don't, then you're just not in the world of me and Coach Malone. Mine's Poppins, Coach. I use Poppins for everything. I like.
Check that out.
It's one of those things. Like, I think in our Board Drill podcast logo forever wasn't in Poppins, and I'm like, why didn't I do it like that? And it bothered me, Coach, forever. I finally just got rid of the text, and it's just the 2 helmets now. So that's what we do.
Well, let me ask you this: Did we kind of dive into everything quarterback like you wanted it to be?
Yeah. No, I think Coach, we went through the warm-up. You went through kind of the extended warm-up into practice. You talked about how you went through your practice and then the offseason. I mean, there's probably some people that have some questions. And if you're listening, you have questions, just like Coach said, reach back out to him. His contact information was at the beginning, but we'll also put it in the description. Coach, do you mind if I share this document in the folder? Okay.
No,
So again, if you're listening, our presentations folder is linked below in the description. It'll be in there as well. So feel free to reach out to us or Coach. Again, Coach is really, really awesome. He'll answer your DMs, but Coach, we do have some bashful people. If you reach out to me, I'm happy to relay anything to Coach for you. Matt, any other closing words?
Oh no, every time we have Coach on, he has some
it's awesome.
Some good little quotes that I can pull from him. And the quote for today is a Twitter jihad. That's I'm going to use that one.
So what was the question y'all asked Jones at the end of it? You asked what was the question?
We always ask one question. I think we asked you on your first one. We always ask one question. What's the coolest or most unique thing that you guys do at your program that no one else does? Did we ask you that the first time?
I don't remember.
All right, Coach, what's the coolest or most unique thing you guys do at Rockmart that no one else does?
Man.
Oh, see, every coach hates this question. They love it, but they hate it, Matt.
Well, we always get the best answers.
Yeah, it's always, Coach, it doesn't have to be a football thing. It doesn't have to be an X's and O's thing. Just what's the coolest thing you guys do that maybe no one else does?
Think of that is cool, that's like unique, man. I don't know. I mean, I'm like going back through 26 years of what have we done that's been really, really cool. I tell you what, this is one thing I stole.
It always pops for every coach.
Yeah, when I was the head coach, I stole this from, I was the offensive coordinator at Grayson High School outside Atlanta.
Yep.
And the man I worked for was a guy named Mickey Kahn. Mickey's now at Clemson. I think he's the safeties coach. And he played at Alabama. He played for Gene Stallings. And so I stole this from him. This is something they did at Alabama. And this was sort of, the last Thursday practice in high school, Friday for college of the season would be in the stadium. And so imagine we finished practice and we brought the team up and we've talked about whatever's Thursday for a Friday game. And every player that's not a senior is going to line up on the back line of the end zone, shoulder to shoulder. And the seniors are going to take a last lap. They're just going to start walking, and you can do it one of two ways. And I've changed it, but I always would have them walk down the visitor sideline, loop around the far end zone, and walk back down the home sideline. And it's just, it's a bunch of brothers in one last lap around the field, talking, joking, whatever. And then when they get back down, the coaches were going to be on the far end, the players are on the near end, and they're going to just simply shake hands, hug, have something to say to every player on the team as they go through. They get to the end and do the same thing with each coach, and then we let them walk off the field. Now, at Alabama, how they would do it is an underclassman would have to carry the player off the field. I didn't do that, but that was probably one of the things that I think that we've done that's really cool, that's unique. I think everybody does the helmet decals with dads, and everybody does mom's clinics and all that. But that was, as a head coach, I would always do that, and straight up stole that from Alabama. It was one thing I thought was really cool.
I think that's a great one, Coach. Perfect.
That's it.
Great way to build tradition there, too.
Yeah.
So. I know that's not snazzy, but that was one of the things.
No, Coach, listen, the best thing about that question is we get unique things that coaches can just listen. And again, if you listen to this whole podcast, you don't take anything else, but they take that piece from it. Yeah. I'm good with it. And the cool thing about it is we're what, Matt? I mean, I don't even know how many episodes we're in, 50-something episodes.
Yeah.
And we've gotten 50 unique answers. I don't think any two coaches have said the same thing, have they, Matt?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I mean, so
we'll have to go back. We'll have to start keeping a log of it.
I'll let you know if we ever hit one that we repeat. But I mean, if you're a coach that listens, there's 50 unique things you can try in your program, at least if you pick a couple. So I think it's a really cool thing we ask, and it always catches everyone off guard. We don't tell anyone. We can tell who listens to our podcast to the very end. Nobody. But it's something that we'll supercut one day, so it'll be nice. But
look, guys, from every football coach that has either been on this or listened to it, thank you for what you do for football. I'm not kidding, man. Like, no joke.
We appreciate it.
I remember telling guys like that have asked me about this, like, man, they are freaking first rate. It is unbelievable. It's done well, and like, even this is how you can study football sitting at the house. That's the big thing. I've had coaches, especially with younger coaches, like, man, it used to be the only way you learn football is you go to a clinic. Like,
correct, yeah.
Clinic, and then you'd get whatever they were willing to give you. Well, then it kind of morphed into those Champions Edge DVDs and books and all that stuff, and then you get into now with technology, man. I mean, we're going to sit here and we can do this every night and talk pass protections or whatever we want to talk about.
Yeah.
It's what you guys do, man. Thank you for it. Seriously. Thank you for what you do.
We appreciate it, Coach. We appreciate the kind words. It's our goal, right? Our mission was, and we talk about this all the time, we're not coaching right now. We wish we were for some reason or another, right? That, several different reasons, but, we both wish we could. We're both just jealous of coaches. I talk about this all the time. Like, look, I'm jealous of you. I'm jealous that you get to go out and coach every day. But in the meantime, this helps us keep the connection with coaches. But I think more importantly, our mission is to help educate coaches and help them kind of further themselves. So if you're a coach out there listening, and I know Coach Malone feels this way, if you ever need anything from us or you ever want to learn from a topic, if we don't know it, we'll find somebody who does.
Yeah.
I have people reach out all the time. They're like, hey, can you get so-and-so on the podcast? Listen, I'll get a no from anybody. I'll ask anybody. I don't care. I'm not promising you I can get them on here. But listen, I've reached out to most of the college guys tell me no, but I've reached out to more college guys than anyone ever knows. I've reached out to NFL guys. Like, look, I don't always have those connections, but I'm certainly okay with reaching out to somebody. Like, I got to know plenty of times when I try to be a college football coach, so it's nothing new to me. So we're out there to try to help you guys. And again, we're trying to be, an alternative where, we do some paid stuff on our website, but for the most part, this podcast will always be free. We want to bring great coaches on here, and we want to bring coaches that, and this is not a knock on the coaches that do this, but everyone goes to the clinics, and for the most part, the Glaziers, you hear the same guys over and over, right, Coach? And that's
no doubt.
Look, it's not a knock on the guys that do it. I would do it too. I understand they're good coaches, but I think this is a great way for you to hear a lot of different coaches throughout the country, and not just ones that won a state championship. Obviously, those guys are doing a good job, but we always talk about whoever the guy is that brought his team from 0-10 to 5-5 is probably just as good, if not a better coach than the guy that won the state championship with all the dudes.
No doubt. No doubt.
So we're trying to find those coaches throughout the country. We've had super successful coaches. We've had guys that come on here that are 6-4 and they talk and you're like, wow, this guy's going to win big one day, so I think it's been a great experience. So awesome. Well, we'll log off for the night. If you're still listening, we appreciate you hanging out. Again, we're here with Coach Malone. Coach Malone, thanks for spending time with us tonight. As always, it's a pleasure.
Oh, brother, you ask, I'm in, no matter what it is.
Absolutely. For me and Matt, Coach Malone, we'll see you next week.